So my name is Maïka Zayagata for the Instagram. And I'm from Canada, Montreal, actually, a beautiful city. And I've been tattooing for 20 years, and I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. I do geometry mostly, and yeah, that's what I do.
I saw your work, and
Yeah.
I like a lot.
Thank you.
And I want to ask you where you take inspiration for the project, the way of flow on the body.
Yeah. Well, mostly I do get a lot of, it sounds maybe classic, but I do get a lot of inspiration from my clients when they send me their requests. A lot of them are very inspiring as well. So mostly I listen to that, and now once I have that, I take it and I ask myself, what can I do that can be different than what I did in the past? Because basically you always try to renew yourself every time, which is pretty hard. But that's how I go, so that's how I start. But then I also get very inspired by a lot of my colleagues and artists in Europe, but also in Montreal and Canada, and just to watch what they work, and I get very inspired by that. And by enjoying a lot. I also get inspired by other things. I try to, you mostly get your inspiration from the tattoo industry, but I find that it's really interesting to go out of the industry as well. For example, getting inspired by architecture or, other different kind of different kind of inspiration. And I really like that as well, because it takes your brain to a different direction, and that's what you want to do, because you tend to go always, like I was saying before, you go always in the same direction. So you're trying to go out of that a little bit so you can find some new ideas and get.
And how you handle when you have the down period of your artistic side?
Sorry, can you ask that again? When I have the down period?
Yeah, when you have the down period, how you handle this situation?
Well, I think that I have to get out of myself, and because usually when the down period happens is when you get too inside your head. So then I try to go outside my head, and then I just look at what's been done out there, and just doing that for me it gets me going. Sometimes there will be something else. Say, okay, now I went to get stuff. I got some stuff in. Now I can go and get it out for me, and then the inspiration comes like this often. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And do you saw any difference between before COVID and after COVID for your work, your kind of way of?
Yeah, definitely. Before COVID, obviously, like everyone else, I was traveling a lot, and getting to meet new people was a good way to get your inspiration going, and to just to move your work forward. But after the COVID, you go in a mode of being more inside, being more in your head again. And so I had to, well, there was also, like I was saying to you before, I was saying that I was in a period where my inspiration got stuck a little bit into my own style, and I wanted to get out of this. So now I have this idea of maybe going to school, and by going to university, I meet different people as well from a different industry, and that helps me to get back on track and find new inspiration, and again, get my brain into a different direction, because ultimately that's what, if I look back, that's what I've always done, try to get my brain into a different direction, because if you get stuck into this one path, you keep doing the same thing over and over, which is not a bad thing for some, but for me, I like to go out of that. I don't always manage to do it, but when I do, I'm happy with it. So it works fine for me. This way of working works pretty good for me. Yeah.
Do you miss event like this one, where you can work side by side with artists that maybe you see on social media?
I do, because in Montreal, you have your studio, and it's a small studio for us. It's a private studio. I work with my colleague Julie, and now we have Gabriella that's with us. So there's three of us. So it's very small, and we get along, and it's a lot of fun. We can exchange, but sometimes, like, that's why I like doing convention, because you meet other artists, you meet a bigger pool of artists, and you can exchange, and that's what I love about convention, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a way to make a community.
Definitely, yeah, to meet the community, you know. And for us in Canada, the geometry world is a little bit smaller. There's many, you know, we have Corey Ferguson, we have Rob Hoskin in Edmonton. My colleague Julie is also very good. We have few in Montreal, but the geometry style is not as big in Canada than here. So here I get to meet the people that got me started with this style, you know. So it's very cool.
Yeah, it's sometimes the movement of style maybe is growing and then gets smaller.
Get smaller again. That's
so
true.
Just the one that really like that kind of style want to grow the style, keep making good things. So.
Yeah. Also, technology makes styles growing. For us in geometry, you know, like I work with Corey Ferguson, and they got this application going, Geometrica, and that bring our style further, you know, as well. So there's it's very interesting. So it always keeps pushing the style somewhere else. Yeah, it's very cool. And same with meeting artists.
Mm-hmm. And do you see that the artificial intelligence makes any change in your style, or
for me personally, not yet, because I find for me it's too new. I didn't get a chance to play around with that a lot, but at university, because I'm doing a master's degree in digital art, I'm only at the beginning. We'll see where that goes. But they talk a lot about the artificial intelligence and how it changes the industry. And I think, yeah, it's going to affect the industry. But I don't see it as a negative thing. I think we have to think about it and how it's going to affect us, and it's good to do that. But for me, I don't see it as a negative thing. You know, I think it's a tool that we could use, and I can bring us further again in our style. And I'm very curious about that, actually, where that can go. You know, and so we'll see.
How is to work 20 years in this
industry? How is it? It's good. I think what's good about having 20 years is that you can see what you've learned. You can comprehend better what you've learned. You know, I actually did a workshop in last October. Even though I've been working for 20 years, I thought it would be interesting because what I miss is the exchange between artists. And when I did the workshop with Decalco Manu in France, I've learned so much because he was bringing his experience. And what was interesting is that in the class, there were some people that had less experience, and we could still learn from them because we all have each our way of working. And just talking like this with experienced people made me realize where made me more solid into what I knew. So that's, I think, the joy of being experienced is that, okay, now it becomes just that much more solid, you know, than when you start. It's everything looks a little bit, what am I doing, you know? So yeah, that's very reassuring when you have like more experience. So I enjoy that part very much.
Do you see any difference between the idea of the artist when you started from now, like the way of collaborate with other artists, the way of changing ideas and exchange?
Well, I think that for me personally, that what I find is that, you know, when you start doing something like this, you have that imposter syndrome almost. So it's very difficult to be open because you feel so insecure about everything. But as you gain experience, this gets easier, and you are more open to exchange. So it becomes even more interesting because you have the confidence to ask questions, you know, even though when you start, you don't have that confidence. You're like, oh. So definitely for me, that's been a very good place to be able to be open enough to go and meet the artists, you know, that you love, and just to ask questions and to sit down and talk. But when you start, it's always a little bit, So yeah, that's been good.
Do you have any experience from your beginning that you remember, like not well, but maybe some bad experience that gives you the power to say, okay, no, I have to go on and make it happen, and then now working.
Make it better, you mean?
No, no, like something bad, like I don't know, a bad experience in apprenticeship, a bad experience trying to make tattoos. I don't know if you have something that tried to push you down in the beginning, that you use it for.
To make it to go and make it better. Well, I don't know if I have one specific example, but I know that every time that something, like for me, I think the healing part is very important, and it's still feel like it's a tricky thing, you know, because you have different person every time, and you don't know if they're gonna manage to take care of it, because once they leave the studio, you cannot control what they're gonna do. So, you know, that part for me is very important to make certain that that's going to be done correctly, because that's where you have less control, I guess. So to me, that's the part that I find very important, that I will focus on. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
And do you have any advice to the young you in the beginning of your career that you want to say to young self?
if oh, that's a hard one. There's so many, but it's hard to think about one. I would take a little bit longer. What could I say to my younger self? Breathe. Yeah, definitely. Because you want to, you know, when you're younger, you just want to go, go, go and make it happen. And you just don't take enough time to think about what you're going to do, you know, and sometimes you just go too fast. So I would say just calm down, breathe. It's all going to be okay. So yeah, that's what I would say.